Okay, so
Okay.
how do we do this? Jeez, it's been a while. All right, thank you for tuning in to the Canadian Placeholder Podcast Companion, aka the CPC, where we talk about things that are a little nerdy, a lot lighthearted, but for this season, very much focused relationship related. And with me, my co-host V Marie. We're going to talk to you about a very special movie that I think is now my new favorite from Studio Ghibli, The Tale of Princess Kaguya. So sit.
Where's Dan then?
Hey, no, leave Dan out of this. This is this is me and you.
Apparently.
Okay, so I guess before we get off all rails and start pointing fingers, definitely your fault for the hiatus. But
It's
uh,
always.
100%, it's never the guy's fault.
Yeah, I know. I've learned that through our last season. Yeah.
So we're gonna talk
Mhm.
about the tale of Prince Kaguya before, but did I announce that right? Is it Studio Ghibli or is it Studio Ghibli?
Oh, I asked the gentleman in town, what did he say? I thought he said Ghibli. I thought he said. Anyway, yeah.
Okay, that's the Japanese pronunciation of an Italian word, so who knows?
It's been a while since I asked him as well.
Okay, is this person
Anyway,
Japanese?
yeah, well, he's Asian.
That is so racist.
No, I think he's Chinese because he went to China.
Okay, and that makes
So
him
I want to
expert in
say
Japanese.
Chinese. No, he had this little figurine in his shop. He owns the confectionery in town, and I got all excited because we watched like all five of those, or I did, and I was like, "Oh, it's Ghibli, whatever." And then he was very confused until he figured out what it was saying, and he pronounced it. With that,
Okay.
yeah,
What was the
there's
figurine?
good conversation started.
Was it
It was
Totoro?
the rabbit. The
Yeah,
Yeah.
Totoro. That's my favorite movie.
Mm-hmm. He's in a few of them, isn't he?
Totoro is kind of like the mascot, so he's always
Mm-hmm.
like when it opens up.
He
You've
has a
seen a
role in a few of them, though, I think.
I think so. You've
Anyway,
seen, yeah, fair enough. You've seen a few of them, and just kind of want to know, just as a soft heater here, but of all the Studio Ghibli movies, which one is your favorite?
well, it was Spirited Away, but actually now it might be Princess Kaguya. That was a good one.
Yes, I had that in mind, and that's kind of the reason why I wanted to podcast with you about the tale of Princess Kaguya. So, in this movie, it kind of details the life of this princess who was sent to Earth. So, the kind of story takes off there and has like a lot of nice allegories for womanhood and the struggles that women face.
Yeah, that was what I got from it for the most part.
That is an excellent contribution to this conversation.
I don't know what to say. Well, I mean, it was very, very relatable. It was deep. And I don't know if I've ever seen a movie that portrayed it that well, like the actual, yeah, how what the struggles really are.
Yeah, so maybe we go through it then and we go bit by bit and we break it down. So the animation in this movie is kind of different. It's more watercolor rather than the traditional animation. So it's very minimal, and I kind of felt that the way it kicks off, it kind of sets the tone for kind of the value that we place on women and childhood. So yeah, I just kind of want to know, what are your thoughts on the opening parts of the movie, and what were your first impressions like as her journey starts?
I don't know. I probably picked up on more weird things than most would, but I noticed little things like how protective her father was of her. And I noticed the attention that she got from males starting from a very young age. So when she was on the porch with her new mother, Earth Father, and the boys were noticing her and they weren't catcalling her, but if you were to reference that into reality, like, or teasing by giving her the name, but that's not how it played out. When they were calling her by her name, which was Little Bamboo, her father was calling her by Princess and trying to get her to choose coming back to him, which that kind of signified like the importance of the father daughter relationship.
But I had a different interpretation because to me, she started out as one of the boys. She didn't really have any challenges with womanhood. It wasn't until she got sent by her father's choice to make her a princess and sent her off to society. And that's kind of where she got culturalized into being a girl. So that was my interpretation because
Oh yeah.
oh
Go
no no
because
oh no because she was running around and playing with the boys. She wasn't really treated differently. I think the only people that treated her differently were her parents, and it was her parents trying to control her and tell her this is the way you're supposed to act. We have your best interest in mind. And I thought that was the all babies, all children start out the same, but we culturalize them.
I got
Either
that too. Yeah. It's just that basically what I was going to say is beyond that, yeah, she became one of the boys because she was being authentically herself. Because that's the thing about femininity and women is that, we talked about it in the other podcast, even though you do have those feminine characteristics, traits, and, biological systems or whatever, there is still that, you have a personality, you have individuality. And that's, I think, what's still lacking in society a bit and getting better. You could tell throughout the whole movie, all she wanted was to go back to the person that she was and stop pretending. She had a garden with her mother when they went to the castle, the mansion. She was constantly dreaming of going back to the forest, thinking about it. The longer she was away, the more miserable she was. And the men who perked her interest the most were the ones who hit that part of her.
I had a just maybe a different interpretation of that. In the movie, the father comes upon riches sent by the gods and uses that money to build her a kingdom and sends her off for lessons in royalty. To me, that was okay. You're getting indoctrinated. You are now going to school, and you are now going to be interacting with others in a formal environment. And this is where we get that culturalization of women. You're supposed to be dressing this way. You're supposed to be behaving like this. You're not one of the boys. You're a girl.
Mm-hmm.
But the people that are doing that aren't actually men. It's actually other women that are teaching her how to be a girl. And so the saying is that she's been here before. She keeps on saying, I've seen this before. This feels familiar. And it's other girls who are actually indoctrinating her into this womanhood.
Yeah, which
Yes.
is appropriate.
Yeah, which is causing her to be unhappy because it's other women who are forcing her to act like a woman. She's not acting like herself, but it's her peers that are forcing her to behave a certain way. And
Well,
just
not her real peers, but yes.
yeah. So I guess just kind of to relate this to your personal experience, did you have something similar? Like how was that growing up?
Actually, that's exactly it. I am and was partially tomboy. Like I love going fishing, ice fishing, like love it. I will bait the hook. I will reel the fish in, all of it, I do like going quadding. I like going snowboarding. I like doing things that aren't labeled as feminine. But at the same time, I wore makeup and painted my nails when I was younger, and I do that now. And I had a period where, yeah, I stopped trying so hard, and deep down at the core, it was because I was tired of the attention.
Did
Yeah.
you have a moment, I guess, in your youth where you realize like, oh, I'm not supposed to be acting like this, or other girls were looking at you weird because you were a tomboy?
I did, but I just didn't care. To be
Interesting.
perfectly, yeah, I, I mean, like I'd go skinny dipping with the guys, and the girls, of course, would look, yeah, and I know, and the girls would look at me strange or whatever, and like legit, I was just one of the guys. Yeah.
So not really necessarily relating to the character too much. Dang. Okay.
Well,
Kind of.
yes and no. I mean, she like Princess Kaguya still defied it. Every time that lady tried to teach her, she would purposely mess up. But then when her father was looking, she would do it perfect.
So
So in a way, she was.
had daddy issues.
No, no, no. She was just defiant of it because she didn't want it. That doesn't mean that she couldn't, and yeah. Or like something else beautiful I picked up from it is that she really, I forget the instrument she played, and yeah, it's a form of expression, right? So, there's a lot of sadness played through it, or it was just her way of, you know,
And
anyway.
yeah, it's a lot of sadness. That's kind of how she expressed herself. And as she was growing and developing proficiency with how to properly dress, how to properly walk, how to properly behave, how to, um, get better at this instrument, the I guess the shaman or the old man pronounces her an official woman, and so she gets ceremonized through this party, and that's where her father says, "My daughter's now a woman and is ready to be married," and invites thousands of men, and they find five nobles. And I thought this was kind of the start of everyone's woman's journey through the hardships that women face, specifically when it comes to dating.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, well, you don't seem convinced, but here, okay, so here's my crackpot theory. Check this out. There's thousands of men. There's like you have thousands of suitors. Only five stand out. To me, that's how picky women are, right? It's not a matter of finding men, it's finding men that you like or finding men that stand out.
Eh,
So
yeah.
there's yeah, right. So there's and we've talked about this before in the podcast. So there's five guys out of thousands that are potential that stand out. Um, each of them tries to woo her by their words. They all compare her to a treasure, like a woman's a prize to be won.
Mm.
And they try to woo her with gifts, with compliments, and bravery. And so this is kind of where tying up all our podcasts come together. This is where she starts shit testing her men to find out who's the champion and who's not.
Yeah, that's correct. I don't know if I necessarily agree that the five were. I mean, I see your point, and yes, in comparison, I can see that, but um, they were still full of shit. That's all I could keep thinking. Like, here's the thing: is it's like I was thinking of that too, the shit testing, exactly like you said, but I was also thinking about how each one. I mean, they basically all over exaggerated things or lied, like we've talked about as well.
Which is the reason why women should test their men, right? To see if they are
Yeah.
firm in their position. So, like I said in the past, I think it's great that women should test, but further in relationship, they should be less frequent. But
Yeah.
let's kind
Okay,
of
that's fair.
yeah. So let's unpack this then. So, five guys claim to be the one for this girl. They all promise her, a loving marriage. And so she calls him out and says, if you want my affections, you need to prove yourself and deliver me these treasures that you promise. So one says that I will give you wealth be untold. I will get you a famous jeweled branch. And the guy lies to her, and she goes, oh shit, men are capable of fucking lying and only want one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess that's basically it, is like that's how you learn it. Yeah.
So
Because
did
yeah.
you have like a revealing experience in your youth, or something that kind of stuck out, like, hey, like men are just kind of sick, twisted, and perverted?
It was very young. I mean, like the first time there was experiences of, when webcams first came out, boys that would be, I think I was like 13, 14 when that happened. So boys that were like 16 or 17 would try to coerce you to, um, yeah, just get on webcam and then go further and further, right? There was like, you date, but then like your first real boyfriend is, I think, where you kind of progress and sexually, I guess, or like that first boyfriend. And I remember thinking, I mean, he was 16 and could drive, and I was 15 and couldn't. And I mean, one thing I'll give him is he drove like an hour and a half or 2 hours distance to see me and did it often, but it progressed very quickly sexually. So it was like first visit, first, second base, whatever the fuck it is, next visit this. And I do remember thinking, I see where this is going. I can feel that this is too fast. And I did stop it before, of course, yeah, losing my virginity to him. And there was also an experience of a boy in my class that would do things like corner me in empty classrooms, and just be overly flirty, like predatory flirty. And there was a party once where it was at his house. My boyfriend was there with me, and there was a hot tub, and I didn't bring a bathing suit. I needed a pair of shorts, so he went to get me a pair and closed the bedroom door when I was going to change, and took off his shorts and like climbed on top of me. And granted, he was intoxicated, but that was a very mine were, yeah, weird. Those ones stand out the most, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting, but nothing like I straight up caught you in a lie and nothing like that. Hey, like I just know you're
Well,
trying to get into my pants, or you're clearly
that was
bluffing with all of this game that you're spitting.
yeah, like that was the biggest like for lying. I would say I didn't notice that more until my early 20s dating, because I had a boyfriend from 16 to 20. And to be honest, I was pretty blessed to have like the boyfriend that I did, even though we didn't end great and we had our things. Like, yeah, I think that set a foundation. And then to be honest, like for me, a big thing was that relationship ended right when I went from small town living to city living with overbearing, overprotective parents. And then I think it was, the city boys are different than country boys. That's another thing, is you boys who are raised in a country or in a like sending like farms or a small town, they do actually act and interact with women a little differently, I find.
How so?
And I found that the city guys were more aggressive, more experienced, um, and they seem to have like a different perspective on dating and all of that. And when it came to like women, anyway, that's how I felt they were different. Yeah, a lot of
Interest.
hookup culture.
I guess it's because like you could replace whoever with the next one,
Yeah.
whereas in you're in a kind of a small town, you have your reputation, and so you have to
Mm-hmm.
focus on knowing them better.
Yeah,
I,
I even see that now, examples of some people who maybe venture around a little bit more and they have the reputation, whereas in a city you wouldn't have that as much. Yeah, that's a big part of it.
Dan has a theory that he can tell who has the sister and who doesn't within the first 5 minutes of meeting them.
Yeah, no, I believe that. And especially guys who are like closer to their sisters, or yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, because you view women as human rather than a different species.
Yeah, and you treat them with more respect and almost like care.
Yeah,
Like a guy with a sister is more likely to approach a girl who seems in distress and help her, than because he would know what to do, right? So,
yeah.
yeah.
Or I want to extend this to, because I know someone who has a sister but is just freaking, he's just discovering women in his 30s, and he like if you're familiar with the red pill, he kind of spews off this red pill bullshit, and I'm like, man, this is a problem with, I don't want to push premarital sex on anyone, but for you not to experiment with women in your teens and early 20s, you now have a perverse view of women because you have like unresolved issues or resentment towards women who rejected you for the formative years of your adult life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like people kind of harbor resentment, and like they kind of go, "Oh yeah, don't he said something to me. Never trust the opinion of a woman. And he said something like, all women give bad advice. I'm like, wow. Imagine if your mom heard you say this stuff. And he's like, oh
Well,
well,
yeah.
all women except for my mom and my sister. I'm like, okay, you don't have any aunts or uncles, you don't have any cousins. I have a mom. Are you going to say something about my mom?
See,
Man,
that's an example of, yeah, like, because I'm not even going to lie. There was a good portion where I was so angry with men that I was like, all men do this and then I had to rewire my thinking and my speaking and typing and everything to say, like, some men, most men, you know what I mean? You can't generalize. And when I was doing that, I had issues. And I still have, I know, issues from things like being in an alienated, abusive relationship for 6 years that was highly manipulative. And, even that's, I'm trying, like, I used all of your advice and I'm trying to find suitors, but it's exactly like Kaguya, like you said, 5 out of 1,000, and they're still lying and
so
can't pass the shit test, like, worth a shit. They're not even that big. It's like, just be consistent and, like, be straight up about what you want. They can't even do that, Shane. So I don't know. I tried. I really did.
yeah, well,
But
I think
yeah.
the shit tests they come naturally for women, right? Because just evolutionary built, men are full of shit, and it's the ones that do stand out, they do catch your eye, you do entertain them, but still, of those ones, a lot of them are like, oh, I'm so close. Like they try and push things forward and try to tip things in their favor because those opportunities come few and far between for men. And so, yeah, they come up with these lies, kind of like Kaguya.
Yeah. I mean, it's fair. I get it. But it's still like, I don't want to spend a life like with a liar. I don't know. It's like, there's got to be a turning point somewhere. I don't know how
Mhm.
many I have to get through first, but fuck. Anyway,
The
that's
story
just
of
my
Kaguya,
feedback.
she doesn't find a man. You're
I know,
screwed.
right? Do you want to know how much it related to the ending where she floated up to the moon? Like,
uh,
a lot. It's like,
oh,
yeah,
you're
old
gonna die
maid.
alone.
Yeah, I might. It's okay. I'll have a cat and a dog, maybe, if I'm lucky.
Yeah,
It's
so
all good.
yeah, it's all good. But let's go back to the shit test that because you mentioned that no man has passed your shit test. That's very similar to the tale of Kaguya because we talked about the guy with the wealth. He promised her wealth, and he got ratted out by his friends. And men do that too. They kind of sabotage each other.
Yeah.
That's a competition thing. Competition's tactic by other men is if you got the attention of the girl, I'm gonna ruin you just because I didn't get it.
Right. And it's not even always because they actually want that woman. It's legit just because their buddy is getting something that they want. Right. That's
Yeah,
fucked up. I
yeah,
get
like
it, but it's fucked up.
yeah, it's that jealousy that men have.
Okay, but
They
women do it too. Like you said, they pick pre-selected men. That really enlightened me on why do women try and intrude on committed men.
because they
Like,
know that man's a good man because he was able to
yeah,
get committed.
exactly. And that's the thing, is they both do it. Both genders do it. And yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah, people are horrible, but
Oh,
I really liked how the tale of Princess Kaguya portrayed dating and relationships because you had the
I did.
liar, yeah, you had the liar that got outed by his friends. Then you have the person who tried to impress her again with wealth, but um, also with lies.
Even the man that chose to come from the freaking heart with, I tried so hard and I saw this flower and it made me think of you, was full of shit too because he had a wife. I'm
He
like,
Yeah, well, he had a wife, but also Princess Kaguya was very upset because it turned out that had a wife and was judging based off the looks, and she was out of all the shit tests that she did, she was crying and devastated because she thought that this is the one guy that was sincere.
yeah. And I felt that hardcore because that is the one that hits the most, is when, like, they legit hit you where you want, like what you're looking for. And that was my last experience. We talked about it,
Oh,
you
that
know.
so the guy that
Well, I mean,
your
he
recent
wasn't
breakup.
married. Yeah, he wasn't married, but he basically told me and offered me every single thing I have ever wanted. And when that was taken away, that hurt in a way that I can't even explain. That was
Is
that was the hardest thing. Yeah.
it takes a lot for a woman to let her guard down, and
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I feel that a lot of the hurt, and I might be talking my ass, maybe you could correct me here, is that it more so hurts that towards yourself. Like, how did I not see through this? I've screened out thousands of guys before. Like, is there something wrong with me? Like, how did my intuition fail me? Am I just a sucker
You
for all
betcha.
men?
You betcha. That's exactly it. That's the first thoughts you usually go to, especially if you're experiencing insecurity, is like, what's wrong with me? What did I do wrong? Why, why I did it, whatever. But uh yeah, like in the end, I did realize that like, I mean, there was obviously things I did wrong and there's things I could have done better. But in the end, that was on him. And I still don't fully understand why. And I mentioned that in the podcast before about, you know, sometimes I think I just don't trust my intuition and maybe those like red flags are there and I'm just ignoring them, trying to see the potential, trying to see the good over the bad.
As a liar myself and someone who has hurt women, I think it's you kind of men have their own fronts and they kind of been mistreated by women or they want to get women and they kind of do and say things that at the time they kind of makes them feel proud and happy because you feel more manly um, when you get a woman, in particular if you're juggling multiple women. That's kind of what society kind of values you as cool. And even other women will say that, like, you get all the girls. Like, that's a compliment that women will give you. You do feel more special, but growing into my 30s, I look back at doing and saying things to get these women. It's really kind of shameful, and I really want to take that period of my life back and just the hurt. Right? I saw a woman, and her tears were like kind of the wow. This pain that women feel is um, on another level when you kind of do stuff to manipulate
Yeah.
and do that. So, but women
That
still,
that was my theory. So
your theory on,
why guys do that. That
yeah,
was my theory, is that it's a pride thing and chances are you've been hurt by a girl before, because of course girls do shitty things too and they do that too. And I even had a few where, like you've reminded me plenty how I hurt Dan and I didn't even mean to.
yeah, I think
But we
it's,
can do things that hurt. Yeah.
yeah, I think it's just the specifically, I'm not quite sure about other cultures, but definitely North American culture. It's the attainability factor, being desirable to others makes you cool when it shouldn't necessarily be that way. It should be a beneficial interaction. If it's a one night stand, it should be both people are getting value out of it. It shouldn't be to boost your
Yeah.
ego or anything like that. It's just tough, but all things that come with when you're wise, much too late.
Hmm. And
So
people don't communicate enough. Like they don't talk about relationships and important things that you need to talk about to progress a relationship in a healthy direction. Like we just don't.
yeah, like egos, right? Ego, and mentality,
Hmm.
and that's kind of the shame.
Yep.
Um, but as time's limited, let's kind of move forward here with the tale of Princess Kaguya. So, these guys all lie to her. She feels very betrayed and mistreated by the man appeared to be sincere but wasn't. Um, she later finds out that there was one man who was true to his word, but he ended up dying in the process. And that's there where she runs away from her kingdom and says that this is all fake and I reject this lifestyle. And so to me, I interpreted that as a failed relationship. So it was the one guy that was able to meet all his obligations and stuff like that. It just did not work out. And that was her experiencing the pain of a breakup.
Or there's even the concept of like codependent relationships, which isn't really a concept anymore, but where you like think that you need to fix them, but you need to just accept them.
That's actually fascinating that you said too high of expectations, because he did exactly what she was looking for and died in the process. I really
exactly.
Like that. I like that interpretation. So that was her setting the bar way too high and her mistreating men.
Mm-hmm. And maybe acknowledging that's why it was like, this is fake. Because to be real, like even lately, I've been experiencing a lot of that where I'm realizing that I wasn't authentic, and there's parts of me that I even haven't shown to people yet, just, and I'm starting to, things like tarot cards and whatnot. So it's, but I think I actually have a habit of something where I don't embrace the nurturing aspect of femininity enough. And that might be playing a role in a lot of my relationship issues, where basically, because that is the role of the woman, you're supposed to be the soft place to land, you're supposed to be nurturing. So I think there's examples of guys sick and not feeling good at a concert we went to, traveled like across the province to, and then instead of me like sitting with him on the bleachers, I went and danced. A little bit selfish.
That's a really shitty thing to do. That this guy's not feeling well and you're partying and dancing. Kind
of. Well, not really. Like I wasn't drinking. No, not kind of, not drugs, really. But well, like,
I mean, it doesn't matter. You don't need to have to do drugs to have fun. There's someone who is physically unwell. You need to get this person home, get to a doctor, or comfort them. That's
like sore throat. Like went from totally fine the whole way until the concert. So, and it wasn't. Yes, it's a shitty thing to do, but there was also some other. It wasn't like it was just he was dying and I just left him. It was, yeah.
That's also yeah. Oh no!
Are you gonna die on me?
I lost my voice. Dang! You should go dance. You should go dancing right now. I lost my. That's some voodoo right there.
I love how you just like tie it in though. That's great.
Yeah, I have no idea what happened there, but maybe that sympathy lost my voice.
Yeah, feeling for the dude. Okay, yeah, like a dick moves. I'll give you that. Yeah.
I think the worst thing that happened. Yeah, the worst thing that happened to me was, what the hell? That is so weird. Okay. Got my Christopher Nolan thing going on here.
Batman. I told you I'm a witch. No, I'm just kidding.
Maybe. That is so weird. Okay. People do voodoo on each other and they lose their voice.
Hey, I did not.
Something. I don't know what's going on with me, but I'm better now. Thank God. All right. Let's go clubbing.
I'll leave you on the dance floor.
Exactly.
Or leave you for the dance floor.
Okay, and then you'll tell me to go to the casino after. Okay, gotcha.
You wouldn't do that. Not that part, no. But I'm a sucker for dance. Like if there's anything I'm ditching a dude for, it's to go dance.
I'll go to the club with my friends. Well, I've done something similar, but
there you go. See, fucking judging me. It's because you're a man. You get away with it. Fuck all of you.
Fuck all the women. Jeez.
Male privilege right there.
Oh, anyway. My God. Hey, man. People use each other. It is what it is, unfortunately. Oh man, my mind's blown. All right, let's move this thing forward because my voice will not make it, I guess.
No, yeah. Okay, let's go.
Okay, so I think I kind of glossed over like the most significant interaction in this story that kind of drives the ending is that um, the one of the guys that was in courtship with Princess Kaguya got physical with her, and I thought
Mm-hmm.
that is a very clear cut to me that domestic abuse and rape. That's kind of what I was going for.
The one at the very end that grabbed her from behind, like snuck in and
Yep.
wrapped his arms. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and once again, a hardship that women face of
absolutely.
a very unfortunate and very real reality that women face.
You know the whole thing of like give a hug. Like how many times is a boy asked to give a hug, but a girl is? Have you ever been asked that? Is like ever? So like girls will be told to like be physical, be affectionate. And the thing is that like if you don't want somebody in your space, you don't want somebody in your space. So to be real, when I watched that scene, it was like, oh, EBGBs, like uncomfortable fucking feeling. Like, don't touch. Like it's yeah, but it's a common thing that or like how many times I'm not gonna lie, I've had customers, male customers, they'll just put their arm on your back or whatever. They'll touch you.
Men don't know what it's like to be attracted to someone that's physically capable of doing harm to them, right?
Yeah,
And
no, and that's the big thing is men just don't experience what we do. So that's a basis for understanding. It's just the way it is. Like,
yeah, dudes can be scary. Even like the most non-threatening dude can be scary
mm-hmm.
because there's that um how do you say this without being kind of rougher, but there is a physical advantage in bone structure and muscle that's typical of males rather than females who have to spend quite more time developing it.
Yep. Also
Uh,
like an innate aggression based on like natural instinct,
yeah,
you know.
testosterone, stuff like that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah, it's tougher, and I think I don't want to tell you to share a story because that's a very private thing, but yeah, it just that one was kind of the plot point there where she has a struggle with rape or sexual abuse
Mm-hmm.
in this movie, and she wishes to no longer be there. So that's where
That was yeah.
she runs to the forest and rejects all men. And at that point, she realizes that her time's limited, and her actual parents are coming for her, signifying that she is, to me, she's dying, and now she wants to do all the things that she wished she could have. So that was like kind of to me the biological clock ticking. She wants to have children, but time's limited. She wants to be with her friends. Time's limited. She wants to live the normal farm life and have a career and all that stuff. That's really important. But by virtue of being a woman, she has a very shorter deadline than what males will go through.
Yeah, no, I picked up on all of that. And even like that's the thing is there's so many metaphors you could pick up on in there. Like exactly it wasn't that she actually died, it was that her biological clock died. Like, you know what I mean? That's when she went to the moon. Or you could look at um, like I really felt when she was like, I just asked to not be here anymore. And that's the tipping point for her because we talked about it before about when your innocence as a woman, your body as a woman is mistreated, it makes you feel like I don't know, it's another level of invaded, traumatized. Like that's that whole second guessing your intuition, not trusting your intuition. Yeah, exactly. Like just writing off dudes, men, because the one hurt you that bad that you just can't deal with trying to feel that way with another one. You need to take time to heal from that. I've had to do that many times. And yeah, if you're wondering if there's a scary story, absolutely. And the thing is most people don't know, but a lot of girls have them. Like those stories are very common, but we just don't talk about them because what happens is we report them and then we get things like, oh, you waited too long, or, if there's not enough evidence, you can't do anything. You need evidence.
I guess what I don't understand as a man is that why don't women report right away?
Yeah, you have these things that you're taught as a girl that if you do, like it depends, you're taught it in different ways, but the basis is if you do certain things to put yourself at risk, you are responsible for what happens to you. So if your skirt was too short, if your shirt was too low, if you got in a car with a boy you barely knew, if you were walking somewhere at night, if you were in a stairwell, if you were next to a cargo van, if you were, so it's like this thing, like you should know better than
Who
to put yourself in a position where, so then it fucks with your head.
who
And
who
you
te-
honestly think,
sorry, I just want to interrupt. Who teaches you these things?
any like
Is
adult influence from a
uh,
little girl
uh,
into,
I
yeah.
thought this would be like a Kaguya thing where I feel that other women would be teaching you this stuff because when I hear that stuff, a lot of the stuff as a man I would not do as well.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely. It is
it
women
yeah, like
warning you
like
based on experience.
the idea of not getting into car with stranger is something that I do not get into cars even with other dudes. If I don't know them, I also don't go running at night. And I think women say, "Oh, I'm not able to run at night." Not safe. Freaks come out at night. It's not safe.
But
It's not something that you want to do. I don't run at night either. So it's just yeah. I kind of
but
wanted to
there are a
interject that.
lot of men that do.
Well, I mean, even if they do, it's still not advisable to do that. I would not recommend anyone to go out at night. Yeah, are there
Yeah.
people that drink and drive? Yes. Should you? Absolutely
No,
not.
I know,
Are
but
there
it's
people that
like,
run at night? Yes. Should you do it? Absolutely not. That was kind of my point.
yeah, I guess maybe it's what they probably say after, say of like what could happen to you, right? Like you're not going to get a talk as a male about walking out at night and getting raped. You're going to get a talking as a male about walking out late at night and getting attacked or like,
Getting murdered,
yeah. Whereas
getting
like with
murdered or robbed.
women, there's just that little extra thing attached. I mean, technically, a guy could get raped when he's mugged on the street, but I don't know. It's just this extra thing that comes with it. Whereas it's just not as a common of a risk for men. I'm not saying that doesn't happen because I've heard stories of men being sexually assaulted. So I am not saying
It's very true.
for at all that that doesn't
Mike
happen.
Mike
But
Tyson sexually assaulted.
oh,
Terry,
I didn't know that.
yeah, Terry Crews, Sugar Ray Leonard,
By women or by men?
men.
Oh, okay. I'm talking about women on men. That happens too.
Oh, that definitely happens.
Yeah.
There's not a doubt in my mind that those people haven't also been sexually abused by women.
Yeah.
I guess my analogy is that if I got punched in the face and beat down and got my teeth kicked in, I'm going to the police and the hospital right away. Why do women wait?
Uh, I don't know. I think a part of it is like the embarrassment that comes with it. So it's like, okay, my examples, I have two. They both used condoms. So if you even went for a rape kit after, like there's a good chance there's no evidence, right? You'd have to do something like it's um and like not every rape is the like swooped up, physically aggressive, pinned down. Some of it involves drugs. Some of it involves you unconscious. Some of it involves, you put in a situation where you have no escape. If you don't have any evidence and you go report it, you have no case, just like any other legal matter. So you can go through the rigmarole of taking them to court, using eyewitnesses, blah, blah, blah. But in the end, it's like if you don't win, there's this like shame factor to it, because not only did you take all that courage to report it, but then when nothing comes out of it, it's first of all, it would hurt more, I think, because it's like, okay, so like this happened to me and I did what I was supposed to do to have justice, and nothing, there was no justice. Or, there's even further where you'll be publicly shamed. Like, it depends. Like, look at the situation of, I forget his name, but the kid who was in swimming or baseball or whatever, that was like, he claimed he was just dry humping her behind a dumpster. And like, look how much shame she got from that. And it was just, he shouldn't have to suffer with the consequences of getting a little action and have his like ruined. Like, that's what I'm talking about, is it's in the back of every girl's mind, I'm sure, when she thinks of reporting.
Yeah, well, once again, right, from the male perspective, it's you should still give yourself a chance to give justice. And I guess the flip side is that all allegations do get treated seriously. And you kind of see it with like false arrest, right? Like police have like numbers to hit, and they are constantly finding ways to throw people in jail, put people through the prison systems and all that stuff. So I don't know. It's just stuff that I don't understand, and it's a very male problem, but it
I
still,
agree. And
yeah, doesn't take away from the significance of the challenges that women face at all. It's just uh, I'm the wrong gender to understand, and it's something that I can never understand, but I can have these conversations with you to better my understanding.
well, and the thing is as much as people talk about, and there is bad aspects to the Me Too movement, but there's also that the basis of it comes down to encouraging women to report it, encouraging women to talk, to step forward, to share their stories. And yeah, like, we're trying to open dialogues on this stuff, and that's the essence of it. But people are missing that because they're too focused on the false accusations and the false claims and the failed court cases, right? But that is essentially what this is about.
Also, kind of, I know we talk about false claims, but to our audience, the Innocence Project is also a very great organization for people who did suffer false claims and do want to give themselves a second chance or fighting chance to get out of a prison system. Shout outs to them. Good documentary called Innocence. Check it out. Princess Kaguya, her time's limited. Um, and she gets taken away. So I think I interpreted that as in her biological clock as well as for her mortality. You being in your 30s, do you feel those pressures that women face of your mortality as well as a biological clock, so to speak?
Kind of, sort of. Biological clock, sure, like, it's just a thing, but
How is
yeah,
it? Is it
I don't
is it
know.
really like you kind of get the baby rabies and you think about babies nonstop? Like
Some
what
do.
is a biological clock? Explain that to me.
Well, it's just like how many eggs you have in the bank, honest to God, how much hormones you have, and when they deplete, and it's different for everyone. Like, every woman experiences menopause at a different point. Some actually will get it even in their teens. So it's different for everyone. And my thing is like, I've just approached it the same my whole life. I'm not having a kid with a guy who's not going to be a good dad. And if I end up unmarried without kids, that's just how it is. But not every woman takes that approach. They will obsess over it and let it bother them. And I mean, not going to lie, yeah, I get baby fever. Baby fever is like when you see a cute baby and for some reason all of a sudden you want one. The whole joke, my ovaries are tingling. Like, it's just, you just get a feeling. But there are some women who legit don't want kids, never did, never will. So I
Shout
don't
outs
know.
to those women too. Like the well, I mean, society puts
Yeah,
pressure on women.
absolutely.
Shout outs
Yeah,
to them. I mean, it's
for sure.
there's no. I think the greatest triumph of our generation isn't this technology our generation has advanced. The greatest triumph is of our generation is recognizing that people are people. You don't hear the
Yeah.
"what do you want to do for the rest of your life" question anymore. What do you want to be when you grow up? Because our generation realizes that people have burnout, people have psychological needs, right? People change careers quite a bit.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and then also people, have kids, people don't, people get married, people don't. It's all
Yep.
life. So, it's just interesting that, there actually is that concept of the biological clock, and it's not a saddle thing. It's something that you really do feel.
Yeah. No, some women do. I feel it sometimes where it's just this feeling like, like it's especially when I see a baby hold a baby and it's just like, oh, it'd be nice to have one of these. But like, again, my thing is just, I don't want to spend my life being upset about not having one. So I'm trying to be grateful for what I do have, you know? And then as for like mortality, I actually have a different perspective. And I think that if women owned aging a little more, in the sense of like, sure, beauty fades and, there's just certain aspects about women that maybe it's not as physically attractive, but we actually become more intellectually attractive, more emotionally attractive because I've read a lot about men saying and about women in their 30s is that they know what they want. They're working towards that. They have a goal, so by your 30s, you've kind of figured yourself out. You know what you like, you know what you don't. And if you can own that and like do something with it, because that's the opportunity we have as women now. And I do think we're taking like full advantage of it as much as we can. Some aren't, but you can write a book, you can do a
Start a podcast.
podcast.
There you go.
Yeah, right. Like you can do whatever you want. So, like, own that knowledge you've earned through like those experiences, good and bad. Do something with it, And I think that's a whole nother level of beauty. That's a whole nother level of femininity. That's true womanhood.
Yeah. So, moral of the story of Tale of Princess Kaguya: don't grab dudes by their junk.
She never did that.
Oh, she
The
definitely
moral
did.
is don't be too picky or you're going to end up alone with the moon like
Is
V.
that what you took that as? She was too picky?
Not too picky,
You
but
thought the moral was that she was too picky and ended up dying alone.
oh, I'm going to ruffle some feathers on this. I think that some women are more willing to settle on things to have a partner, whereas some other women are maybe more or way less willing to. And I think that's where, because, yeah, so yeah, I mean, I'd say I'm picky. And I'd say that a lot of my married friends put up with a lot more bullshit than I fucking would. So that's what I think. I don't know how
So
to
wait,
word that.
how does that relate to Kaguya though? You think that she died alone because she was too picky, or what was your interpretation of the ending? Because her actual parents come from the moon and hold a parade for her, and they float away. They play the sad song, and it's revealed that her ancestors had been going to Earth to experience these emotions, and they all long for wanting to go back to Earth.
Well, she was crying at the end when she looked back at Earth. So, like, I think maybe even that last guy dying was the symbolism of, for a woman like that, like the one that got away, the one that maybe you realized that your shit tests were a little bit excessive and that you maybe had some of your own issues that you had to deal with. Like, I'm not going to lie, there are like, we've talked about a few of the different relationships where sometimes I wonder if I had my issues dealt with better, if maybe they would have gone better. Whatever.
Everyone's
I
on their
don't
own.
know.
Everyone's on their own path. Okay, so that's
Yeah.
you're thinking the one that got away kind of deal. I'm thinking of a different ending. So I interpreted that as much as the hardships that women face, it's worth it. and she wants to go through it through all of it again.
Yeah.
Like, that's my interpretation of it, was that she put up with a whole bunch of BS where her father, essentially through the ritual of marriage and socialization, kind of was trying to inadvertently prostitute his daughter. She encountered many men that she didn't even find interesting or wasn't even visible to her. The men that she did interact with, 80% of them were full of shit. The one that was good, ended up good on his word, ended up dying. And that was her fault. She faced physical and sexual abuse. She was pulled away from her friends. She never got to do what she wanted to do until she faced her mortality. But despite all of that, though, womanhood is worth it. That was my interpretation.
And actually, I'd agree with you.
Hey, look at that. I'm a film critique. You call me like Ebert. What's his name? Ebert?
Yeah, that was one of them.
Yeah.
Albert and Ebert, I think.
Albert and Ebert, the Berts.
Yeah.
Yeah, see? Roger.
Yeah. No, and I feel that too. And like, I guess that's part of it, is like, one of the things I think about, like I kind of worded it, is like, even if I don't have kids, even if I don't get married, there's still a lot about femininity and womanhood to be offered. Like, even the interactions I have with men now are better.
And you could always reflect back at your time at the moon that you did land a Dan for a couple months. So
I think about a lot with that moon, trust me. That's kind of why your voice quit on you.
Okay. That's it. You're trying to silence me as a man. That's what you're trying to do.
Just you wait. I'm getting into spells this winter. I'm going to do them.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that we were able to cover Kaguya.
Me too.
I guess, do you have any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
I appreciate you bringing Studio Ghibli to my life. And this was a very good movie for me to watch, actually.
How do you rank your Studio Ghibli movies? So you got Kaguya number one. Yeah, you got what are your top 5? Give me the order.
Can you list off the ones we watched again? Princess Kaguya, Spirited Away, Howl's Moving Castle,
Princess Mononoke.
Yeah, and then that Castle in the Sky. And those are the only ones I think I watched. I started the Fireflies one. Which one was the one where they were in school?
Oh, that's from Up on Poppy Hill.
Right. There was that one too. That was one of my bottom ones. That was probably the least.
It has Sukiyaki in it, though.
I don't know.
You don't know that Sukiyaki song?
No.
It's all because of you. I'm feeling sad and blue. You went away. Now my life, it's a rainy day. I love
you have
so,
to keep that in the podcast.
Much you never know. You took your love away from me. You took your love away from me. I'm keeping that in. That's me to get a record deal.
I think you should. That was wonderful. I love it. Mm-hmm. That was good. That was actually good. You did well.
Yeah, I know. Because I sang it. I do everything well. I'm the man.
There's the ego. I knew it was there.
It's all bullshit. You just call me out. Say sing another song and I can't do
You're
it.
You're a liar like all the rest of them. I knew it. Fucking knew it.
Yeah.
It was just a matter of time before it came to the light.
Okay. Anyway. All right. Let's end it on that note. Thank you for tuning in to the podcast therapy sessions with Shane and V. We appreciate your time and you joining us on this journey of therapy and healing. If you have any questions or suggestions for future shows, let us know. And also, let us know what you want with Dan if he's ever going to come back. Peace.
Peace.
All right.